Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the huge bestseller, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it's all built on this one really powerful idea, that super small changes can lead to absolutely remarkable results.
So, let's just get right into it with a question that, we've all struggled with at some point, right? You decide you're going to do something new, learn an instrument, hit the gym, wake up earlier. You're all in for a few days, maybe even a week, and then, poof, it just stops. So what is going on there?
Well, according to James Clear, the problem, it isn't you. It's not about your willpower at all. It's about your system. He makes this case that these tiny, everyday choices, if you just repeat them over and over, they have this kind of incredible compounding effect.
And when you look at the math, it's actually pretty staggering. Getting just 1% better each day means that by the end of the year, you're nearly 38 times better. But, and this is the scary part, it works the other way too. A 1% slipped each day, just one tiny bad decision repeated, and it completely wipes out your progress. You're left with basically zero. So time, it's either your best friend or your worst enemy here.
Okay, so this brings us to the first big idea from the book, the real power of these tiny, what he calls atomic habits. And maybe more importantly, why we almost always give up before we ever see the payoff.
You know, we think progress should be this nice straight line, right? We put in the work, we expect to see results, like right now. But Clear says, nope, real change is a lot more like this ice cube. Imagine it's in a cold room, and the temperature is slowly rising. You're putting in all this effort, but from the outside, it doesn't look like anything is changing at all.
And then it goes up another degree. Still nothing. This right here, this is that super frustrating moment where you feel like all your hard work is for nothing. Clear has a name for this. He calls it the Plateau of latent potential. It's this valley of disappointment, and it's the exact point where most of us throw in the towel, because we're convinced it's not working.
But then, you hit that one magic degree, and suddenly, a breakthrough. The ice starts to melt. But here's the thing, the melting isn't just because of that one final degree. It's the result of all the work, all the warming that came before it. Your effort was never wasted. It was just being stored up. And that's the key takeaway here. The biggest, most powerful results are almost always delayed. So once you really get that, it forces you to make a pretty big shift in how you think about progress. It's about taking your focus off of goals and putting it somewhere else entirely.
Think about it for a second. Winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals. So what's the difference? It's their systems. A goal is just the result you're aiming for, like running a marathon. But the system, that's the process that actually gets you there. It's your training plan, what you eat, how you sleep. And the argument is, if you just focus on making your system better, the results, they just kind of take care of themselves.
Okay, so if systems are the key, how do we actually build better ones? Well, to get there, we got to first understand the basic mechanics of how any habit actually gets wired into our brains.
Turns out, every single habit you have, whether it's good or bad, runs on this simple four-step loop inside your brain. It starts with a cue, which is just a trigger. That cue creates a craving. Then you act on it, that's the response, and that response delivers some kind of reward. This little loop just runs over and over on autopilot, pretty much dictating what you do all day.
Let's make this real with a habit we all know way too well. Checking our phone, right? Your phone buzzes. That's the cue. You get that little itch, that urge to see who it is. That's the craving. What do? You grab your phone and look. That's the response. And the reward? That tiny hit of satisfied curiosity. And boom, just like that, your brain learns a simple rule. Phone buzzes, pick it up.
So the cool thing is, once you understand this loop, you basically have a toolkit for engineering your own habits. And Clear calls this the 4 laws of behavior change. And each law maps perfectly onto one of those 4 steps we just talked about.
Okay, law number 1, make it obvious. This one is all about the cue. If you want to build a good habit, you have to make the trigger for it impossible to ignore. Like, if you want to remember to take your vitamins, don't hide them in a cabinet. Put the bottle right next to your coffee machine. A really powerful way to do this is something called habit stacking, where you just chain a new habit onto an old one. So instead of I'll meditate, you say, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
All right, law number 2, make it attractive. This goes after the craving. See, our brain's motivation chemical, dopamine, it actually spikes when we anticipate a reward, not just when we get it. So you can hack this with temptation bundling. You just pair something you need to do with something you really want to do. A classic example is, I will only let myself watch my favorite show on Netflix while I'm on the treadmill.
Third law, make it easy. This one tackles the response. Look, our brains are lazy. They're wired to take the path of least resistance. So you have to lower the barrier to entry, reduce the friction. And the 2-minute rule is just brilliant for this. You take any new habit and you shrink it down until it takes less than 2 minutes. So read before bed becomes read one single page. Do yoga becomes just roll out the mat. You're not trying to achieve mastery here. You're just trying to master the art of showing up.
And finally, the fourth law, make it satisfying. This is all about the reward. The problem with good habits is that the reward is often way off in the future, but our brains crave immediate gratification. So you have to give yourself a little win right now. A great example is just putting a big red X on a calendar after you finish a workout. It's a small thing, but that little hit of satisfaction tells your brain, hey, that was good. We should do that again.
So all of these laws, all these strategies, they all build up to what is probably the deepest, most powerful idea in the whole book. And it's the shift away from thinking about what your habits get you to thinking about who you become because of them.
This is really where the magic happens. The real point of building habits isn't just about the outcome. It's about fundamentally changing what you believe about yourself. See, the goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. Every tiny little action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. And that right there is the ultimate takeaway. Real, lasting change isn't about behavior, it's about identity. You stop just doing the habits and you start embodying them. With every single small choice, you're actively rewriting the story of who you are. In the end, you literally become your habits.
So, at its core, changing your habits is really about choosing your identity. The goal isn't to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. And that leaves us with the real question we should be asking ourselves. The first step isn't deciding what you want. It's deciding who you want to become.